Alright, welcome back you guys. It's just your girl Ken today, and in today's video I will be showing you how I make our thumbnails. I go to a design school, so I was pretty familiar with the interface of Photoshop, so that's what I've always made our thumbnails with and what today's tutorial will be in. I'm gonna walk you through making like a fake thumbnail. I took pictures for Instagram yesterday, so I'm gonna pretend like I'm making a thumbnail for an at-home photo shoot, so that way you guys can see the process but also aren't seeing a thumbnail that I've already made. I feel like Hannah and I's thumbnail style is very unique. We've pulled different elements from other people and seen different things we like, but I do think it's always evolving, so I'm sure there will be more of these in the future. And as we continue to grow and evolve, we want to do like a whole YouTube series once we become a little bit more qualified to do that, but this is the first. There is no wrong or right way to do it. Hopefully this just gives you some inspo. And more specifically, I forgot to mention that this style of thumbnail is going to be incorporating the little polaroids that you've seen in our other thumbnails. I think they add a little like cute personal touch. It's a little different from what a lot of people do. So I hope this helps, and I will just get right into it. The very first step that I always do is I always import the pictures I want to use. You can see them on the far left-hand side of my screen. Where I typically like to import more than I'm going to use just so I can have options if things don't work out. I also think the pictures are super important to like the vision and vibe you go for. So first things first, we'll open Photoshop, create new, and you need to set up the right size for it to be formatted in. This just helps so that it's not compressed or doesn't get pixelated. If you are using the unit measurement of pixels, you want to do 1280 pixels by 720 pixels, and then once you select it, it'll automatically turn to the horizontal angle. So I'll create, and then here we go. So first thing, I'll import the photos I want to use. If I had to guess, I want to start with this one and this one because they're different, but then I will have these on standby. Now, it's important to always recognize your layers. You can see them always in your bottom right hand corner, and it doesn't really matter the size for right now. You can even close them, because what we're going to do next is open a new window and then search for Polaroid PNG. And then you'll go to images, and this will give you a variety of these Polaroid backgrounds that you can use for your thumbnail. They're super easy to overlay in there. This one looks nice and simple and white, also very realistic. A PNG is an image with a transparent background, that way you won't have to crop it out once you get there. So I will go and copy the image, go back to Photoshop, and then paste. So there we go, and I will resize it. I think I want my images to be on the left hand side because I typically do them on the right hand side and want to just mix it up, so I'll put that there. But since I have two images I want to use, I will copy the Polaroid and paste it, rotate it. I kind of want them to be like layered on top of each other, kind of like a scrapbook. And so then I'll just go back and forth adjusting the layers, adjusting the angles, and as well as the sizes. Thumbnails are rather small, so I do recommend making everything slightly bigger than you may think it needs to be, just because if someone's looking at it on their phone or even on a desktop, it's kind of tough to see. Okay, so now that I have my Polaroid set up where I want them to be, I'm going to take my images, I'm going to turn the visualization back on, and I'm also going to move them up in my layer so that they are in front of the Polaroids. And now I'm going to resize them. You can kind of just eyeball it. I typically line up one of the corners, so there's the left one, and you can, let me zoom in to make it better. You just go around and adjust. Since this one, my image is a little longer than the Polaroid, I'm going to shorten it and then stretch it a little bit. Hopefully that doesn't distort me too much. So now I think the image is still a little too wide, so I'm going to go back to my Polaroid layer and stretch it out. That way I have more room to stretch my image out and it's more of its natural form. So there's one. And then we will bring 2, and I will switch to this one. Bring this layer over here. Now, this isn't super tricky, but you want to make sure that this image, you see how it's in front of this corner right here? You want to move it down a layer so that way it folds under there nice and neatly. Now that I'm looking at it, I don't like how my elbow is up in this picture and this picture. I know, we just spent all that time doing that. But I come back and I look at another picture. Let me get one that doesn't have my arm up in it. And so let me incorporate this one. And boom, okay. Like that so much more because it's just a little bit more depth to the photo. Now I want to add a background so that these white Polaroids pop. So I'm going to go to Internet Explorer and just search, since I had flowers in the back of my photo, I want to do white jasmine, that's not jasmine, jasmine flower. Since I knew the flower, I searched it, but you can use any flower. And Pinterest is a great place to also find images. Maybe if I type wall, it'll kind of be similar to what I had. Yes, ooh, perfect, perfect. So one thing to check is see, it seems like a decently high quality image. There's no watermark on it, which will be good for blowing up. So I will copy this image and then paste. And so it's not behind all of the pictures, so I want to take my layer 3 and bring it down below everything. And since it is a little bright, I'm going to come over here to opacity and turn it down, kind of play with it to see what I like. I guess not too much because I still want some green in it. 65%, and you can always eyeball it or get exact by adjusting the numbers right here. So next, probably the most important element to add is a title. I just always make a huge text box for the area I want to put it. I select a relatively large font to begin with, and then I can always adjust it once I decide. Hannah and I have been using this new display font. If you go to my school, you will know that it is one of the Parsons or the new school fonts. I'll just put it in black so you can easily see it. And then sometimes Photoshop does this, it makes it all weird. You can go up here to your character button, and then this increases or decreases the spacing. So right now 46 is way too close together because there's not a gap in between the words. So I'll go and make it 60. That's a little better, like that. Picking the title for your thumbnail is very important. You want it to be short and brief so people read it, as well as in a large enough font so that they can see it without having to squint or question what's really going on. And then since it's kind of tough to see, something that Hannah and I often do, we'll go white paint smear PNG and add, I want to say it's this one actually. So you'll take this PNG, copy it just like everything else, paste. And so you'll want to bring that layer below your text so that way it doesn't cover it. And then you just play around with the sizing so that it's easier to read. And boom, okay, title part is done. But then something Hannah and I always do, I make the text a color and then add a shadow to it by duplicating it. Triple click. So let's do the iconic Ken in Hand pink. We'll actually start with the darker one. So there's the dark pink, I just eyeball it. So then I will click on my text layer, copy, paste it. And before I move it over, I will change the color of it. I will make it a pastel pink. I'll take my transfer tool and then literally just eyeball where I want it. Now we have all this space down here and I want to add something else. So I think what I'm going to do, number 1, is add my Instagram handle because I posted these on Instagram and it's a great way to plug yourself. Anytime you can promote any of your platforms, you should do it. At Kenna Casto. Obviously, I don't need that to be the same size as the title because it's not as important. So I'm gonna make it half the size. Oh, that's cute. Okay. Because you know how on Polaroids you the date on them sometimes, so I'll do that. And then I'll copy that. And then I'll write follow me. And then I'll put that on the other picture. So that way it's super subtle. So now you still have all this wide open space. So what I think I'm gonna do is add another Polaroid because I have pictures that I like. So I might as well put them on there. Since there's still a big blank spot right here, I think I'm gonna add a little JPEG of a camera. So I will go up, do the same thing, search camera, PNG, and then sometimes when you search PNG, it doesn't show all the transparent backgrounds, so you can always click on this transparent option and it'll show more transparent options. Like that one is a JPEG. So I will copy, go back to Photoshop, and paste. You always have to resize it because they make it huge. But the larger the image, the better quality it is, because that means when you shrink it down, it won't get pixelated or vice versa. I'm gonna throw that right angle that way, put it right there. And then maybe, because I feel like there just needs something else right there, let me do iPhone PNG. That'll work. I like that it's white because it'll stand out. We'll resize this and then add it. Maybe switch the positions of them so this one will go this way. Beautiful, that's kind of cute. I theoretically could add another picture here, but that's so much work, so we're not going to do that. Second to last thing, Hannah and I always add stars because that's kind of like our theme. Never refine them on the internet, so I go back to an old, this is Hans Hilton Head one, so I go back to an old one, copy and paste it on there and work the magic. So I typically place them in the corners just to add a little, you know, something. But since this is already such a busy background, I think I'm just going to add them around the title and rotate. Because the stars aren't that important, but I just really like them, and so does Han, so couldn't not incorporate them. And then if you ever have a PNG and there's like parts you don't like, you can go to your eraser tool right here and I'll get rid of that star as well as that star, so that way it doesn't interrupt the title. Okay, and then the very last thing I'll show you that we do, I'm going to change my brush to the hard and round so that way it's super bold, and then I'm going to make it really small. I typically do 10, so let me type that in. I think I need to make it smaller because the pictures are smaller. So I'm going to make it 5 this time. And then, since it's Hannah and I's channel, I always outline a picture of us. Or whoever's video it is. Like if it's Han, I'll do an outline of Han. For this one, I'll do an outline of me. And so for the middle one, I'll just take and I'll use the same light pink. I'll use the color dropper or swatcher to make sure it's the right pink. And I'll just go in and outline my body. This takes a little while and you get better at it with time for sure. Boom. The hair is always the hardest part, come on. But then you also learn it doesn't have to be perfect. Wow, this is pretty good for my first time. I'm impressed. I haven't really like messed up once. You do want to be conscious of what layer you're doing this on because you want to make sure it's in front of the image, as well as if you wanted to get rid of it, you want to make sure it's on its own layer so that way you're not deleting anything else. Okay, so it doesn't do a whole lot, but it just adds a little touch so you see that it's a Ken and Han video and that is who it's about. For me, for example, this one's about Ken, so there's Ken, just circles that, and that is it. That's what it'll look like, and typically I will export it and edit it in Visco to give it the same filter or effect as all of our other ones. Alright, that is it, you guys. You just saw the final product of a Polaroid thumbnail by Ken and Han, our branding, our style, how we do it. It does take a while to get used to the Photoshop format if you're not used to it, so don't feel like if it took you a while or you had to pause the video to watch it, that you're doing it wrong. It takes a while. I also have done almost 30 of these thumbnails. And you can even see if you go look at like the first 6, they're a little different because we thought we wanted to go for this way and then change it up to be more eye-catching and bright. So it definitely takes time to develop your style, and I'm sure as we continue to grow, if you're watching this as you continue to grow your channel, that your thumbnail style will change over time, and that's totally okay. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions on anything I did, please like comment down below or let me know, because I've never filmed one of these videos, and as I was going through it, I didn't feel like I maybe said enough or explained it the best I could for a beginner. So don't be afraid to ask. I will try to respond to all of them so you guys can know if you have questions. But thank you guys so much for watching. Sunday's video is gonna be so good. It is, I'll kind of, a little teaser, a little spoiler. Do I give it away? Do I give it away? I don't know. Okay, I kind of want to tease it because it's that good. We are doing a video where we search a word in our text messages and read the text message that comes up. So it's kind of juicy. We already filmed it. I'm so excited. I'm going to edit that today as well. So please check it out because we laughed a bunch. I'm sure you'll laugh a bunch and it's just going to be a good time. But thank you guys so much for sticking around and following us and watching us. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Yeah.